All right, welcome back,
Okay,
everybody. Sorry.
go ahead, Henry.
Okay, welcome back, everybody. This is the Virtual Residency Workshop 2023. It's Tuesday, June 27, and this is the fourth and final session of the day. Our topic is Cyberinfrastructure Landscape Organizations. Our speaker is Melissa Cragin from Rice University, and take it away, Melissa.
Thanks, Henry. Hey, everybody. I was just saying before we started the recording, I cannot see you while I'm in my presentation mode. So do feel free. Either Henry can let me know if there's questions in the chat. But as I said, if you've got things to add about any of the organizations, please just feel free to do so. First, I want to thank Timothy Middlecoop and Dana Brunson for some of these slides. I've updated some from last year, but I appreciate being able to use some of their content. I'll also just note that some of you will be very familiar with these organizations, maybe more familiar than me, certainly more familiar than me for some of you who've been around for quite a while. And as I said, if you have things to add about value or benefits, please do. Okay, let's see here. There we go. All right. So, essentially the organizations we'll focus on a bit are about human infrastructure, really the organizations that help support us in the growth of our profession and in our roles, helping us connect to each other and learn, think about the roles we're in now, the kinds of work we do, and opportunities to think about where our career paths might take us. We'll talk a little bit about communities of practice, and then I've added, in addition, some related organizations that are part of the landscape or ecosystem. These now, many times, we're interrelated, whether it's in service support or collaborations around some kind of project or activity. And as we continue to have the growth and development of very complex cyber infrastructure, we'll need even more to be reliant on one another and different kinds of organizations to help support the delivery of our services to help drive science and scholarship. Okay. So just want to start here. I'm going to have a couple of these sort of aggregation slides that give us just a snapshot of where we are. Some of these organizations are long-standing and some are quite new. And you may have run across some of them, you may be part of many of them. But they're now supporting not only the professional development and advocacy for the profession and the growth of cyber infrastructure, but also some are very focused on some particular kinds of resources or services or hardware even. Some are building out very domain-specific kinds of activities, but again, these now stretch across the kinds of work we do, and often funded projects by researchers might be linking across several of these. And so this just gives a sort of picture of the landscape. Okay. So I like how Timothy and Dana call this the starter pack of organizations. This is where we'll start today. We'll begin with one of the earlier ones, Exceed Campus Champions. Campus Champions have sort of spun into their own standalone. They're still connected through Access, which is, as you know, Access has replaced Exceed. But we'll talk about Campus Champions a little bit. We'll spend some time looking at the CARC People Network and also the PERC Conference, and then we'll move into some related organizations. So starting in 2008, National Community of Practice, whose role is to include helping institutional researchers, educators, and scholars, including faculty, postdocs, graduate students, undergrads, and professionals with their computing-intensive and data-intensive research, education, scholarship, and or creative activity that includes but doesn't limit them to helping them use advanced digital capabilities to improve and accelerate these achievements. So really, the key idea here is and was that we have campus champions based at the institutions who help faculty not only connect to the cyber infrastructure that's local, but connect into the cyber infrastructure that's managed by what is now called Access. So helping on our campus, the range of services we provide in our campus champions include helping proposals for access to national research computing infrastructure, doing those proposals, helping manage the use of those allocations, looking for opportunities to help develop workflows and connect faculty and researchers to a range of other connected out from Access, other kinds of infrastructure. The campus champions have grown since 2008. I don't have the most recent numbers, but upwards of 800 people spread across the campuses across the U.S. There are about 780 campus champions now, working at over 350 academic and non-academic research-focused institutions. And this includes 86 institutions from EPSCoR states and 61 minority-serving institutions. The campus champions have meetings every year and foster a community of practice. They provide a ticket system for support across the campus champions group. There are links to the Ask CI, Access supported Ask CI, Cyberinfrastructure question base or knowledge space, and jobs board, and also the related help desk. Community of practice, the role includes helping institutionals, researchers, as I said already, be connected to the Access managed resources that makes the national computing infrastructure. The way to connect with campus champions, I provided a screenshot here from their webpage, mainly because I wanted to point out, hopefully you can see my pointer here, but up in the right-hand top corner is the Join Campus Champion link. So they provide a couple of additional kinds of resources that are special. Student champions, so providing unique student perspective on the use of digital resources, so connecting with the community there, and also champion fellows. So feel free to get in touch with them if you'd like to join that community. Now on to the Campus Research Computing Consortium, or CARC. So CARC is an organization that advances the frontiers of research by improving the effectiveness of research computing and data professionals, including career development and visibility, so advocacy, and ability to deliver services and resources for researchers. You can see here the way that the organization is structured. At the top is the people network. And so it's what we call the facings, the track facings. And we'll go over that in a moment. There are both working and interest groups that are available, and we'll talk about those. And then the operations function. We won't talk much about that, but I can answer any questions, of course. So the People Network is about inclusive community. And we think about CARC as a year-round remote conference, a way to share and leverage expertise through the various facings, these tracks, which we'll walk through. And the tracks offer webinars each month and a range of cross-track activities throughout the year. There are meetings also at PERC, and when we get to PERC, we can talk about those. The People Network aims to foster and build and grow the community itself and support campus CI professionals who support the research computing and data resources provided to researchers on their campuses. The network includes synchronous and asynchronous opportunities to leverage the collective and individual expertise with focused discussions that address topics that are either designed by the track group itself or identified by the steering committee based on calls from the community. So here are the different facings or tracks. The data facing track really focuses on those professionals that are really engaged with supporting the workflows, visualization, analysis, curation, preservation, compliance, and data transfer. The researcher-facing track is really focused on the areas that address consulting, bridging across the different tracks or the different roles that researchers are that CI professionals are playing on campus, facilitation, outreach, and training. software facing, including developing or contributing to research software, scripts, and workflows. And we'll talk about a specific organization that supports that specifically. Emerging centers, so new or emerging RCD service leaders and programs on campuses. The systems facing track, which is focused on the hardware, integration, interoperability, network security, and data centers. And then the strategy and policy facing group, which is the leadership around institutional alignment, culture, funding, policy, and community. And there are also cross-cutting topics, of course, that go across these. So examples of those are security and accessibility. And in fact, in May, we had a number of activities and webinars focused specifically on accessibility in the IT realm and for research computing and data. And so that topic was the topic across all of the activities for the month. So here are the working groups. The professionalization really is focused on helping to consider and drive how we can have career trajectories really and support cyber infrastructure professionals across the range of activities and roles that we are engaged in at our institutions and across the nation very broadly. The capabilities model is about supporting assessment of our RCD activities on campuses. So not only assessing locally, but then being able to benchmark against our peers and what's happening at peer institutions. Career arcs, so really looking at what's happening with careers and looking at professional trajectories and how those fit together and what's happening across the profession as a whole. And engagement. So the organization working on engaging with other organizations that are involved with research computing and data and cyber infrastructure, as well as organizations involved with underserved and underrepresented groups, and making sure there's cross-pollination there. Okay. So the People Network has grown tremendously over the last several years. You can see the timeline here that runs from about 2018. And this year, we continue to see very significant growth in our membership, 22% in the email list and members in 2022, and 54% increase in Slack. And I will note that our Slack channels are used very active Slack channels. If you're looking for an easy way to connect with people across the CARC community, Slack is a good way to do that. Bringing the total membership now of more than 1,300 people. So growing quickly, lots of activities, and here are ways that you can get involved. Each track has its own focus area and coordination. And so you can connect not only with the CARC organization as a whole, but with each of the facings or tracks. There are multiple communication channels we each have. So there's a broad email list for CARC, but then there are email lists, Slack, and monthly calls for each of the facings or the tracks. Significant progress has been made across the organization on shared infrastructure and continuity and leadership opportunities. So the point here is that, and in fact, we just had a chairs meeting a couple weeks ago. The organization is very solid and stable. We are working on ways to streamline the ways we function as an organization. To help really reduce overhead on the community that is helping to lead CARC as an organization. Steering committees are always looking for new volunteers. So if there's a particular track area that is of interest to you, please feel free to reach out to the current track chairs. The contacts are available through the CARC website. We'll provide the slides have been shared already, and the links are active in those slides. So you're able to get to those URLs if you would like to. And we also welcome very much suggestions on call topics or volunteers to help work on activities that the CARC organization is leading. Okay, so the PERC conference. PERC is now the de facto meeting place for RCD professionals. It's a fantastic conference. There are pre-meetings the day before the meeting usually runs. As you can see, it's about a 4-day meeting. There's a pre-day of activities and related or on-site related conferences or workshops that happen. The first day of the conference are formal workshops that are part of the meeting. Then the conference runs across the next 3 days with a half day on the last day, so people can head out of town if that's what they need to do. There are plenty of social activities that are related to, so lots of networking time. I can say that there are also side meetings that sort of happen in the evenings across different groups. So it is the place for not only the sort of CARC organization, but many other related organizations and projects, including individual professionals, are there. But it's a chance to also meet with your peers from institutions across the US and sometimes beyond the US. It's a regular academic conference, if you will. Papers, short papers, panels, everything is peer reviewed. The PERC conference, the proceedings are now managed by ACM, so the Association of Computing Machinery. And so the proceedings are available there, which actually really is very nice because it increases the sort of scholarly footing of this conference. And there's a vendor, always vendors there as well. So an opportunity to talk to vendors, to learn new things about what's happening in terms of products coming down the pike. Okay, so again, benefits, scholarly conference, opportunities to network throughout the week, and lots of training activities, cutting edge dissemination of information on funded projects, and the workshops are great, as is the poster session. Always a really good poster session. Okay, onward. So I'm going to talk about just a couple of additional, very closely related organizations here. I'm going to go in backwards order, but CASC and EDUCAUSE RCD, RDAP, which is the Research Data Access and Preservation Association, virtual residency program. I won't really talk about that because you're here, but you'll get lots of information, more information about the virtual residency program throughout the week. But it needs to be on this slide. It's a very important part of our ecosystem. HPC, SIG HPC, we'll talk about that, and then USRSE. Okay, moving forward. So CASC is an organization of leaders. It's a nonprofit for leaders at institutions. It's an institution membership organization for those really leading academic scientific computation. CASC is an advocate for the importance of and need for public and private investment in research computing and data services to support academic research. It serves as a trusted advisor to federal agencies on the direction of relevant funding programs. We actively engage in the discussions of policies related to research computing and data services, foster the advancement of a robust and diverse community of current and emerging leaders in the field. So really to help succession in terms of leadership around these important areas for the Coalition for Academic Scientific Computation, and for academic research computing writ large, and to provide a forum for the community to share strategic ideas and best practices. And now RDAP. RDAP. So Research Computing and Data Community Group. Sorry, I went a step ahead. Research Computing and Data Community Group, which is the RCD group of EDUCAUSE. I got one ahead of myself here. EDUCAUSE itself is a nonprofit association with a mission to advance higher ed through the use of information technology. So it's very focused on campus IT support for the institutional mission writ large. And Research Computing and Data Community Group really starts to build a bridge to bring research computing and data needs into the broader EDUCAUSE function and role. And so the RCD mission is to foster collaboration, knowledge sharing, and community across research support professionals in higher ed, IT, and its partners, and provide a forum to share and support one another as requirements for academic research continue to evolve. There's a monthly call and monthly open call, and also conferences and meetings available through the annual EDUCAUSE conference. Now to RDAP. So Research Data and Access Preservation Association is a membership organization of generally individuals, unlike CASC, which is a membership of institutions. RDAP is for individuals, and it's a community that brings together a variety of individuals, data managers, curators, and others, as you can see from this list, whose main function and role at their academic or research organization really is to support faculty and researchers and students in understanding the new requirements around data management and helping drive the services around data management on their campuses. There's an annual summit that's quite interesting, really addresses a lot of the issues around research data management from the academic and NGO research organization perspective. And then there's also regional meetings throughout the year. Now on to the US Research Software Engineer Association. And thanks to Sandra Gessing from UIC for supplying this slide for us today. So this organization has emerged because it became very clear that there is a need for an organization to support the growing professional community that is producing shared research software and scientific software in the community. So we know now that scientific software is really driving a lot of the use of research computing and cyber infrastructure applications. And we have special teams now or individual people at some institutions or across projects that are writing software programs that facilitate domain applications, the movement of data, the visualization and other kinds of data analysis and usage. And so this role is increasing and research software has a particular role, and the need for supporting and access to sustainable software is a very significant component now in the cyber infrastructure landscape. And so this community and organization supports the growing professional community of practice to share knowledge, build connections, support the sharing of resources, and access to to tools for writing and sharing software. So there will be events at PERC and at SC this year. So sign up if you're interested in this space. And they are always looking for additional people to join or connect with their organization. Okay, SIG HPC. So this is a special interest group on high performance computing that is part of the ACM, the Association for Computing Machinery. You can connect with them at SC23. They have lots of activities there. A key role for SIG HPC is to serve as a hub for the community of HPC service providers and tech, and cyber infrastructure support staff that work in HPC. They provide resources to learn more about what other practitioners are doing in their daily work, and they provide conferences, opportunities to meet others, uh, build up your skills, and also to grow the pipeline of professionals coming in to the HPC arena. Okay, so I'm going to move now into, I can see there's some things in chat. So Henry, if there's specific questions, please feel free to interrupt me because I can't see them while I'm running in my view.
No, they've mostly just been comments. When you were talking about PERC, it said ACM membership gets you registration discounts at PERC and supercomputing, not to mention a lot of great training that would cost a lot more elsewhere. And then when you're talking about CASC, I threw in CASC is the de facto professional society for academic and government HPC center directors. And then when you were doing USRSE, they had that little diagram in the lower left of their of the slide there. And I said, I like how their little diagram resembles my little diagram from the virtual residency overview talk, because it was the same idea of living halfway between this group and that group.
Super. Okay. Thank you.
It looks like the ACM membership gives you a bigger discount at PERC than the membership costs. Am I reading that correct?
That's correct.
Wow.
Or it's essentially the same. So you get the membership for free. And then, sorry, this is David Reddy commenting. Yeah. The fee for joining ACM is as big as the discount. And then if you go to supercomputing too, it's all gravy from there.
Looks like currently it's on sale and on top of that, so you would make money.
Super. Thank you. Thank you for adding those. Thank you for adding those comments. Okay, so I'm going to now turn to just a couple different organizations. This is not an exhaustive list, and there may be others. In fact, there's one I didn't include in a slide, but I'll chat about really briefly. But there are many, many organizations now. If we had hours of time, we could talk about many more of them. And at the end, what I'll do is I'll turn off the presentation, and we can share notes about different experiences or benefits to these organizations, because we won't take the whole hour and a half of time, or hour and 15 minutes. So we'll have time to discuss these things and share experiences. Okay, so the Science Gateways community is not new. Gateways has been around for several years, but there is a new Center of Excellence that's attached to the Science Gateways Community Institute. So Science Gateways is a service organization. The Science Gateways Community Institute is a service organization that has a primary focus on what it could do to help people actively in the endeavor of creating and operating science gateways. Now, science gateways are web-based, community-developed interfaces that provide researchers with access to resources and tools that make it possible to run available applications on supercomputers, so that results come quickly, even with large data sets, via browser access, and so that the researchers can focus on their science and scholarship. So I think you heard, but I'll make very, very concrete here. The idea is to develop these web-based portals or interfaces that support very often domain-specific access to domain-specific tools and resources for faculty to get in, utilize those things all in one space, and drive their science. The Center of Excellence brings together a lot of those things and helps support the Science Gateways community in ways that help make the gateways themselves even better. So the Center of Excellence provides support around evaluating the user design, right? UX design, and they'll do engagements with the Gateways projects for a number of months to help really support the design and usability of those portals. Technology evaluation and gap analysis. Doing architecture, they'll come in and help support architecture design, and then providing internships in the summer for students and faculty. So there's a number of ways now that this Center of Excellence is really helping build out the capacity and value of the gateways themselves by supporting those organizations that are providing the gateways. Okay, Open Storage Network. So this is one's a little bit different, and full disclosure, I am part of the Open Storage Network. I bring this in here because it is an example of one of the many that we saw in the first aggregation slide, where the organization is part of the infrastructure fabric, the national infrastructure of fabric that's being provided and funded by NSF and other agencies. The Open Storage Network is the development was supported by NSF, continues to be supported as we grow by the National Science Foundation. And the OSN supports distributed research teams and their data sharing needs through federated performant on-prem object store. It's low cost, high quality pods that sustain distributed cloud access via sort of this cloud mesh, this service to provide access to data sets that sit in that tens to hundreds of terabyte size, right? So really sort of moving up the scale of data size that's accessible here. The CC Star program continues to fund new nodes coming on to the OSN, and currently researchers are able to share and access active scientific data sets through this network. Examples of where these nodes sit, you can see here sort of this spectrum of where these pods sit and the resources that are available. So USGS now, so actually a federal agency has joined in the fabric and are providing data sets out through the OSN. Johns Hopkins American Museum of Natural History is now serving out data, or soon will be serving out data through the OSN. So that's just an example of some of these. This network, it's continuing to grow and provides a whole range, now a new network of people connecting into the CI resources at individual organizations. Okay, CI Compass. So this is another funded project, NSF funded project. It's a center of excellence through CI Compass. The center of excellence is to support training for CI professionals who engage with NSF funded major facilities. So they provide monthly webinars, a whole range of training opportunities, including student fellowships again. But one of the key elements here is that they've developed a data lifecycle model that identifies specific stages of the data flow within the major facilities. The model captures the transformation of raw data into more interoperable and integration-ready data products that can be visualized, disseminated, transformed into insights and knowledge. And so they help support the use and the development, the use of tools and access to data across that data lifecycle model, and support people, cyber infrastructure professionals who need to tap into the model and be able to move data back and forth across institutions or organizations. Okay. I wanted to touch on security here. So Trusted CI is certainly an organization we could talk about, but I wanted to also bring this one, highlight this one in particular, because this is a really new project. This is a NSF funded community of practice for regulated research. For those of you that are engaged at all with helping to manage controlled unclassified information, and you're looking for a community of practice, so peers who are having to serve out both technology and data services around controlled unclassified information, this is the community for you. So they provide not only monthly webinars, a variety of other resources. They will give federal updates on the compliance rules that are not only available now, but coming down the pike. But also there's a Slack channel and other ways to communicate with this community. They're providing a really nice backstop, including specific kinds of Q&A sessions to help support our institutions having to stand up new kinds of compliance tools and services to meet the federal standards that are standing there now, but also emerging across. We've got things out for comment now that we're seeing. So if those of you that are in this space, if you haven't joined this group, they're open for business, and it's a great resource. Okay, so here's this other aggregation that I wanted to have here. This is a nice database that our colleagues at Internet 2 have stood up. You can contribute to this. I can happy to share the got a couple of links here. I can drop in the chat afterward. And thanks to Timothy and Dana again for this slide, as well as the work on getting this stood up. It's a database and Airtable, and so if you've got other organizations that can be added to this database, that really shows what these organizations are all about and how to connect into them and where they fit across the landscape. Please do. You can see here I've added an example potentially of one that could be added in the Machine Learning Commons, the ML Commons. As I said, I can drop that in. And so I will just move on here. Things to consider. So attend PERC. If you haven't been, it is a conference to go to at least once. It is, as I mentioned, a fantastic networking opportunity, not only to meet peers in your particular role that you might have in your current institution, but also to meet people in all the roles across cyber infrastructure, service provisioning, whether it's systems facing people or software developers or application support people, and the leadership as well. Attend supercomputing at least once if you can. It's a technology conference. Really, the vendor space is just mind-bogglingly large, and really something to see. And supercomputing is also a very international meeting. People from all over the world come to supercomputing to see what's happening in terms of leading edge HPC applications for science and scholarship and engineering. You can read more about the facings here for research computing and data as part of the CARC offerings. And then there's, as I noted here in the slides, all kinds of training opportunities. If you're not on the list or a member of some of these organizations, and it is of value to you in terms of, and what I mean by that is, if you think you can, you are interested in engaging with your peers to try and solve problems that might be beyond your local community or your local institution or campus, these are places you can join and have access to peers around your particular focus area. And then finally, there are, of course, regional and state and local organizations to join. The point here is that we can all benefit by both bi-directional sharing of expertise and information, and the opportunity to do cross-pollination across organizations and organizations, communities, cyber infrastructure roles is really important. That cross-pollination leads to new projects, innovation, and also being able to solve problems locally that wouldn't be able to be solved necessarily within your own walls. Okay, so thanks very much. I'm going to stop sharing, and I think we have opportunity to have some conversation if people are interested in that.
Who's got questions for Melissa?
Henry, this is Christopher with Oregon State University. And as somebody new, by the way, am I going to get any brownie points for this?
All 5 of them.
All 5 of them, perfect. As somebody new to research computing, all of those organizations, that's a little overwhelming. Where would you suggest somebody start to dip their toes in and to rearrange their calendar so they could join the meetings? And then how might you progress through all those or different organizations?
Oh, that's fantastic. That's a great question. Okay. Yeah, that's a great question. So let me start with this. If you're brand new, certainly I encourage anyone of any level to come to this, to the virtual residency. So for my team, I actually point to the virtual residency in a lot of my meetings, and it doesn't matter what level people are. So let me just start with that and say this is one. But in terms of a broader community where people can start to understand how and think about how they fit in a broader context, maybe you know how you fit in your own team on your local campus, but how do I fit? How does this role fit more broadly? Park is the place to start. That's what I would say. And so exploring the Park website is the place to start to figure out which track is my current role in. Am I in the data facing track? Am I in the researcher facing? Now some people's roles, particularly at small institutions, at small or at schools that have emerging centers, you might find that you are in a position that your role actually cuts across those facings or tracks that I introduced earlier. In fact, let me share again and pull that up, okay? I'm going to share my screen again, and I'm going to, okay. And so what I'm going to do now is just make this really big. So can everybody see this? Can everybody see that slide there?
Yes, perfect. Thank you.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So let me walk through this again. So the website is a very easily navigated website for CARC. Very easy to navigate. You can go to each of these pages and figure out many people will have a role that fits pretty centrally into one of these tracks or facing areas. But some people, particularly at small schools or emerging centers, may link across. That's okay. That's okay. What you will find is that for each of these, now software facing in CARC doesn't have its own monthly call. In fact, right now, a lot of that is absorbed by the USRSC. But for the others, there are monthly calls. Those monthly calls have topic areas. There are sometimes other activities that happen as part of the monthly CARC activities. But a place to jump on are those webinars, those monthly track webinars that happen that are topically oriented. And you can begin to meet the people in the community, and people from all over the community come to those monthly calls. It's not only the people that are necessarily in that track, although that tends to be sort of the breadth of the people that attend are from that facing track. The other thing that I would say about CARC for people that are new is that there is a library of video material from the webinar calls going back a couple of years. And so if there's a particular topic that is of interest, the list of those webinars is available on each of the track facing pages. So under the webinars, it's available. The list is available there, and then you can click on that. It'll take you to the YouTube page for that video. And so that library is available also if you have a particular topic interest. Okay, so I think I've answered half of your question. Where do people start? And then what's a progression? The progression, and I'm gonna actually suggest that I'm not necessarily the only person who should answer this question. But certainly park activities, which is that sort of, you know, as they say, it's a remote conference, but it's all year round. The annual virtual residency that Henry puts together and leads each year, which I found to be beneficial in my growth for several years now, and so I keep coming back because I learn new things every year, and I think my sense is that no matter what level you are at, that's probably the case. So those two, and then if you're able to, even if you're new, if you're able to get to a PERC conference, that is really another really great place to begin to figure out how do I grow from here, because it will give you not only access to people and the different stages of career that they're at. You'll hear sort of where there's opportunities to think about adding skills, for example, into a role or connect differently. Okay, we've got a new question. I hope did that answer your question?
Yes, thank you very much. I appreciate that.
And if anybody else, please, if anybody else has thoughts about where to go next after that, please feel free. So I'm going to look at this next question. Is there a particularly active discussion forum chat component to any of these organizations? People ask questions about how other members do things advice. Yes, so a few. So Ask CI. You can just Google that. Ask CI is a active, managed, available completely. So Access supports that. Ask CI, and it is an open forum, question board, discussion, support. Thanks very much, Todd, for dropping that in there. Ask CI. And so I hope that gets at that question, but a couple other places. Thank you, Henry. So there you go. Ask CI, I think, is a great, that is a great platform for our entire community. Let me add to a couple of things. One is data-oriented, data research software, and other related infrastructure related. So many of you have heard of the FAIR data principles, the FAIR principles. If you are interested in understanding, thinking about what the FAIR principles mean for you and your cyber infrastructure, HPC, advanced research computing role, GoFair US is the US organization that supports and disseminates information around what it means to be thinking about providing tooling, supporting your research community around making their data, software, workflows fair. So GoFair US is that organization. And then, thanks, Ann. Yeah, and then there is a sort of long-standing, I don't know how much longer it will run, but the NSF funded big data innovation hubs have run a research computing and data cyber infrastructure meeting on a monthly basis, and there are tremendous conversations there, also recorded, and I'll drop that in a minute, but also recorded webinars on cyber infrastructure and data and projects related to cyber infrastructure that run across the big data innovation hubs and extend out from there. Some are domain oriented, some are very just straight CI oriented. And so that might be a resource as well. And those webinars are available in a library as well. So, okay, any more questions? Super. Okay. Well, I hope that was, I told you that, I did mention that was going to be a sprint all the way through a range of organizations. There are many more, and please feel free to reach out, join some of those Slack channels if you're interested. Hope to see some of you at the PERC conference in a few weeks. Do feel free to introduce yourselves. Be glad to chat with you about all things CI and data. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. And let's give Melissa a virtual round of applause. Thank you so much, Melissa.
Thanks
All
for
right.
the opportunity, Henry.
You bet. And since we're a little bit ahead of schedule, there was what I interpreted as some dismay that I wasn't able to get through all my slides in the previous go round. So since we have a little bit of unconsumed time, let me end the recording on Melissa's session.